The playoff teams may be set, but home field in the first round is still up for grabs tonight. The Toronto Rock can clinch it with a win and a Buffalo loss. For the Swarm, a disappointing season comes to an end tonight. One last chance for players to show what they can do before the long off-season begins and the blueprint begins for 2015. It's the Rock and the Swarm next on the Lacrosse Network. And welcome lacrosse fans inside the Hive, the XL Energy Center in St. Paul, as we reach the end to what is the longest NLL season in history. Game 18 finally here, and it couldn't come soon enough for the Minnesota Swarm. Joe Moore along with Brad Skiback will have all the action here for you tonight. And Brad, a disappointing season for Minnesota, coming in 4-13.
I think these teams really expected to do much better this year. But we noticed some things that happened right away. A lot of experienced teams coming in. They had a lot of close games. I'm sure we'll talk about how many games they came down to one goal and they were not being successful. A lot of that comes from experience, and they just didn't have it throughout the season.
Minnesota with really nothing to play for other than perhaps a little bit of pride, maybe show off a little bit in front of friends and family that are here in attendance tonight. We'll get to that in a second, but Toronto still with something to play for tonight.
Yeah, you're right, and they're going to play tough. And it's interesting. Following the sport of lacrosse, one of the things that I've always felt is that these players don't like to lose, and they don't like to go through a whole season losing their last game. So I think we're going to see a Minnesota team today hungry. I'm hoping what we're going to see in that first period is a team that's really out to make it difficult for Toronto. In fact, maybe eliminate their chance, because Toronto's got to have a couple things happen, and one of them includes a win today. Maybe the Swarm's going to just wreck that right away by taking them out of the competition.
This is the third time that the teams have met this season. Toronto won the tiebreaker, winning the first two games. Not that there's any tiebreaker or anything going on here tonight, but Toronto has won the first two games between the two teams. The last time they met 6 weekends ago, Brad, right here inside the Hive. A heartbreaker, one of those very close losses you just talked about, 9-8 in overtime, and you talk about the experience. Colin Doyle was the one that got the game winner.
Yeah, there's a guy, and every week we've been talking about experienced players. And, I know that you and I want to be sitting here 2 or 3 years from now and talking about some of our players being the experienced players, because those are the guys that show up when the game gets tough. Colin Doyle, like many of the guys we've talked about the last few weeks, Tavares, Grant, he's a true proven NLL player, and he's going to come here and play hard tonight.
Starting goaltenders tonight, Zach Higgins for Minnesota has not fared very well against Toronto this season. Kind of a surprise start, I think, tonight on the Minnesota side. Brandon Miller, who was not even part of the Rock squad the last time they were in Minnesota, gets the start for Toronto.
Brandon Miller, let's talk about him first. He's a terrific stand-up, big-time goalie, and he's going to do well. But you're right, he wasn't here to play in the game. Rose is a terrific goaltender, and so their backup is strong. I was a little surprised, probably like you were, to see Higgins coming in to start this game. We know that he's been in and out, and he's has great potential. He did well at the beginning of the season. Since that time, he's struggled a little bit, and maybe tonight's a chance to get some confidence back.
You mentioned Nick Rose was the goaltender in both of Toronto's victories over Minnesota this season. He was quite spectacular, quite frankly, in the overtime game here. I believe he turned aside, it was close to 50 shots in that game. And but Brandon Miller, more experience for Toronto. And Brad, really, I think they probably have the best goaltending situation in the league right now.
Well, what a great opportunity to go into the playoffs with having two strong goaltenders like that. We watch Minnesota Wild hockey, and they talk about they have 4 goaltenders, but 2 of them are playing and one's really playing well. I mean, that's what you want when you get into the playoffs. You want to see what they've got. With Miller and Rose, they have got strong goaltending. If these guys come out, and they've got some great players on this team, we talked about Doyle, but they got other guys like Sanderson that are going to play really well in this game, and they got a great potential to win this game if they play hard.
We'll keep our eyes on number 10, Rob Hellier, too. He has really stepped his game up quite a bit, and place of Garrett Billings. An unfortunate turn of events for Billings. 101 points in the 15 games he played, but ACL, he's out for the end of the year. But 27 points in the last 3 games for Rob Hellier, and he has stepped in very nicely.
You know what? He has not let it look bad at all for anybody as we get ready here for the Canadian National Anthem. I'm sure the Toronto guys will be excited to stand for that, but they're going to play hard. Hillier's going to play hard and replace the injured player that we just talked about.
Folks, we'll step away as we get tonight's national anthems. We'll be back with the opening face-off. It's the Swarm and the Rock. It's the season finale here in St. Paul. You're listening and watching the NLL on the Lacrosse Network.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command, car ton bras se porte l'épée, il se porte la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the Skyview Middle School Choir, under the direction of Melanie Tlustly, leads us in the singing of our national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Skyview Middle School. Fans, purchase a Swarm Chuckaball tonight for the Toppers Pizza Chuckaball competition. You could win 6 months of free food from Toppers Pizza, a case of Smoky Joe's Jerky, or the grand prize, 2 Minnesota Swarm sideline season tickets. Don't miss out on your chance to win. You can buy your Chuckaball from the group selling them around the concourse. Joining us on the field are Carrie Husfett and family, Derek, Riley, and Elliot, taking the face-off for team captains from the Toronto Rock, Colin Doyle, and for the Swarm, number 20, Andrew Suter. All right, thank you. Good evening. I'm Tom Brokinshaw. Let's go live now down to the turf to the ultimate lover of lacrosse, the Toyota Professor.
All right, Swarm fans, here we go for the final home game of this 10th year. We have a special guest, Swarm president and co-owner Andy Arlotta. Andy, I guess when you look at things, the year on the turf wasn't great, but from a business perspective, look at this crowd. This team is doing very well.
It's been a tough year, but you know, we're doing the best we have in the 10-year history of the franchise, and we're healthy, and we're really excited to have this team back here next year. So
it's the responsibility of the person in the pregame to get the fans pumped up. I know you're really good at that. Let's go, Andy.
let's go, boys. Let's finish off strong. Let's go, Swarm!
There you go, Bruce. Up to you.
Thank you, Toyota Professor. And this is an American story.
Welcome, lacrosse fans, as we are set to face off between the Swarm and the Rock. It'll be Jordan McIntosh, Patrick Merrill to get us going, and a clean face-off win for Jordan McIntosh. And that's one thing, Brad. McIntosh has been so strong against Toronto, 70% in the two games.
You know, that's great news because, you know, throughout the season, I remember talking about this a long time ago that the Swarm have been looking for an increase in their percentage. It's been in the 40s. I was in the 40s last two games. So it's good to see that they got an opportunity here to get a straight, strong start. If they get the face-offs, they can have a good chance of winning this game.
Moving pick on Monetize gives it to Toronto, and LeBlanc has it slide out of the basket as he was going across the top of the crease. Now flipped out high. This is Rob Hellier. He has been on fire since Garrett Billings went out for the year. LeBlanc up top, Sanderson tries to get a low shot through. That'll deflect off of Sorensen out of play. Just 4 seconds left for Toronto on the shot clock, now with a fresh 30.
You look at this roster for the Toronto Rock, Joe, and I got to tell you, it is just full of some absolute strong players. You know, we're talking about Doyle, we talked about Hellier, but we got guys like Merrill and Sanderson, Greer. These guys are terrific players, and we already talked about Brandon Miller as the backup goaltender to Nick Rose, and he's a star.
Zach Higgins, who is kind of the surprise starter here for Minnesota tonight, has to come up with a nifty save on the game's first shot on goal. LeBlanc right down the slot there. Toronto will take that opportunity all night long. Matisse sends it just over the top, and then Jackson rips one right on, and Miller with his first save, the outlet ahead for Hostrauser.
I think the teams have made a pact to get some warm-up shots in on the goaltenders. What we've seen so far has been pretty easy. These guys aren't letting those kind of shots in.
Hostrauser spins free, comes right down, and then bounces it wide. Perhaps Higgins got enough. No, they say he did not touch it, so it'll be Minnesota ball. Over the tie line comes Greg Downing. Now Josh Gillum. Downing going to hustle off, get a little more offensive-minded player out. Oh, right across, and Jackson couldn't pull it in, but Crawford plays it off the wall. Crawford, swim move, drives and fires it off of the crossbar out of play. It'll stay with Minnesota. Spinning Matisse loses his feet, is able to find Jackson. Now the rookie Logan Schuss across the cutter from the weak side. Crawford, and then a shot following the play was Jackson, but on the wrong side of the floor. Couldn't get the angle on the shot he wanted.
Jackson was really doing well, if you remember last week, Joe, at that shot. He was a little higher up when he was playing it, but he was always playing that weak side, and scoring opportunities were pretty prevalent for him. We'll see what he can do tonight.
Taking a quick shot and scoring. Stefan LeBlanc gives Toronto the early lead, just 2:52 into the game, the 43rd of the season for LeBlanc.
We didn't even bring his name up, did we? But again, another one of those guys that who has been playing the game of lacrosse. As everybody knows, the area around Toronto is just full of these players. A lot of our guys are coming from the Toronto area to play tonight.
Another face-off win for Minnesota. Jason Noble finally gives it up for McIntosh, and now to Crawford. Across for Schuss. Step back behind the back. Jackson comes in, and great save from Miller. Merrill, the loose ball pickup for Toronto. Well, Brad, the last time Toronto was here, they built up a 5-0 lead in the first quarter, and slow starts have kind of been the Achilles heel for the Swarm.
Exactly correct. And Toronto, when they did that, they had a great start. It was really tough for Minnesota to come back, but they did. I'd like to see them stay within it. This 1-0 loss is, or scoring opportunity right now is not what we want to see. And it looks like the Swarm are not planning to let them get more than a 1-goal lead on them.
Another big save there from Higgins behind the back shot from Colin Doyle. Now Gillum gives it up. Behind the back pass, and Jackson again unable to come up with it. And Sandy Chapman was all over him defensively for Toronto.
You can see Jackson a little unhappy there. I think he believed he got pulled back as he was crossing over.
Dachenko getting caught up in a double team. Fights through it, drives, and then pulls back as the defense collapses. It was Dachenko who hit the active roster with Billings getting put on the IR. Right out front and unable to pull that one in was LeBlanc, and shot clock violation on Toronto gives the ball back to Minnesota.
I wish we could get a close-up shot of what that net looks like to these guys coming in for the Swarm with Miller in there. But if you could see, there isn't a lot of space at all, Joe, that he's got to get. It's a sign of what kind of shooting skills all the players in the NLL have, that they can hit these very tiny openings that the goaltenders will leave for them.
Cam Woods able to pick that one off and gets it ahead. Loading, firing, and Higgins steers that one wide. Loose ball behind the net, attracts a host of players, and it's going to be Cam Flint racing upfield for Minnesota. Flint. And then, boy, Matisse just unable to bring that one in. A little sloppy transition play for Minnesota here to start things off. Driving in, it's waved off. Crease violation called on Toronto. And Higgins kind of slow in getting up as he was propelled back into the net.
Just like a big, giant fish caught in a net there, I'll tell you.
We'll be back after these messages. Toronto 1, Minnesota nothing as you watch Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
The Philadelphia Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com.
Come on, boys, let's go get him, man.
Welcome back inside the Hive. Minnesota in possession, trailing 1-0 early on. Callum Crawford, the assistant captain, sends it to the near side for Logan Schuss. Two-time reigning Rookie of the Month, Logan Schuss, winning the award in both February and March.
And soon to be April, the way he's been playing.
Now Jackson, his pass was tipped free. Battles for the loose ball, has it knocked free, and finally it'll be the Rock up with it, but a technical foul called on Toronto gives the ball back to Minnesota. Schuss drives, getting pushed behind the net by Hostrauser. Up top, Matisse sends it across. McIntosh can't handle the pass. Boy, Brad, what is going on? Minnesota, the receiving end of these passes, not very good in the early going.
You know, I don't think coaches, right now I can imagine the coaching staff just pulling their hair out looking at this and wondering, how can this happen? The passes that are being dropped are not really being contested at all, Joe. Just no focus. It takes a little while to get themselves going. I'm hoping they're going to get back into it, but they need to start concentrating on these passes and not giving them away to Toronto.
Got a delayed call upcoming on Minnesota that hit along the wall from Tyler Haas. Sent Gamble into the wall. Miller goes off for the extra attacker for Toronto. Sanderson, the cutter right out front, will block, steered aside by Higgins. Rebound to Toronto as they reset. Across quick stick, and that's off the post. Hellier flips it behind the back. And Toronto will be called for an over and back, and we will get the penalty on Tyler Haas. It'll be a cross-checking call, giving Toronto the first power play of the night.
Yeah, I don't think it was going to go any other different way. He certainly was a good smack. Referees called it right away. Put him in the sin bin for 2 minutes. No, Joe, I can't go without saying, I got to tell you that it was pretty exciting to see my daughter's alma mater today at singing the national anthem. Valley, so that was great to see that they sang the American national anthem. They were great. Way to go, guys.
Over the top and over the net came the shot, but rebounds all the way back to Hellier, still 12 to shoot. Behind the back pass, he tried the back door, but again, failing that time to bring it in was Casey Behrens. Shot clock violation on Toronto.
The defense is pretty good. Right now, the defense is playing very strong. It's a question of what are we going to do on offense now. Man down situation for us. Opportunity to get in there and score a goal.
Coming into play this weekend, Minnesota tied for third overall in the penalty kill department, 55.2%, although they got bit by it frequently last week against Colorado.
Colorado is a scoring machine. And they certainly made sure that every time they had an opportunity, they were putting the ball in.
Well, Damon Edwards is going to go to the box for roughing.
I think it's unsportsmanlike conduct, actually. He wouldn't stop talking. And I could see they were warning him, and he just kept on going and got two.
Schuss across the middle, rips one on goal. Arm save. He picks up the rebound. He scores. Logan Schuss does it again. It's his 35th of the year, and we're tied at 1.
Last week we were talking, Joe, about whether, we had a great goaltender here from Colorado, had a great potential to be also the Rookie of the Year. And I think Schuss outshined him in the game yesterday or last week, and he's already starting off well here. He is a true superstar. He needs to stay with the Minnesota Swarm. Don't go anywhere, Logan.
So still 4-on-4 lacrosse for another 56 seconds. Toronto comes away with the face-off. Hellier across the middle, gives it up, gets it back, he's got some room, loads, sends it up top. Doyle loses it, picked up. LeBlanc back for Doyle, spins into the middle, gets a little rising shot off. Higgins the save. David Earl the loose ball. And now McIntosh will peel back, picking up defensively was Cam Woods.
Joe, I talked to Coach Canes earlier about this game, and one of the concerns they had is they felt they do really well against Toronto when they run them, and they run them well on transition. And you can see maybe in that 4-on-4 game, a little bit more open space that Minnesota is very strong in that area. Just keep running them, keep running them.
And I think that was certainly one of the keys to the game from the Swarm perspective coming in here tonight. Obviously the youngest team in the league, Toronto, with a lot of experience. Translation, older legs, late season.
Yes, it is the time right now to show those young legs, especially when you got all your parents in the audience. Being Family Appreciation Day, we're going to have another penalty here.
It's going to be Cam Flint for holding. Is trying to run through him was Patrick Merrill, so it'll be 4-on-4. The penalty time to Haas had expired. 4-on-4 for 26 seconds, and that is when Edwards will hit the turf again for Toronto to give them the power play.
Well, I mentioned earlier, Joe, the defense has been very strong for Minnesota. We'll see how they do, especially now on a man-to-man situation, on this 4-on-4 situation. They should be able to keep them out from even getting any good scoring opportunities.
LeBlanc, a little tuck and go, drives in, forced behind the net. Good defense from Suter out front. Quick shot. Beeren sends it wide. Toronto now with the man advantage. Minnesota short-handed. Suter across the timeline with it. Gives it up. Logan Schuss will skip it along to Jordan McIntosh. McIntosh marked up by Woods. McIntosh goes low. Comes around. Turns, fires. Nifty little shot. Good save from Miller. And then rebound just over the top of McIntosh. Coming back the other way is Edwards.
Well, did a great job, the Swarm there, of making sure that they got all 30 seconds of that opportunity, Joe. Almost got the rebound back and controlled it. But it's a great way to cut down that penalty. We're already down to less than a minute.
Quick shot there goes off of Higgins, out of play. That will send us to break. Your score, Minnesota 1, Toronto 1. You're watching Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans, flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net, scores! Curtis Dixon again! It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Visit us online at mnswarm.com for more information.
Toronto with 45 seconds left on the power play. They get things set up. Colin Doyle, quarterbacking the power play for the Rockies, got it up top. Puts it in motion, flips it behind the back. LeBlanc up top. Doyle over the top. Higgins comes out, makes the save. Digging it free from a rather awkward position there.
Nobody else was going to go get that ball.
Now Sorensen back for Monetize as Minnesota can kill the rest of this penalty time before the shot clock expires. About a 1 second differential.
Great defensive play so far by the Swarm.
Shots 11-7 in favor of Toronto as Crawford, with 5 shorthanded goals, skips one through as time was expiring on that shot clock. Flint back on the turf, and we're back at full strength lacrosse. Hellier watched by Flint. Push toward the wall, tries to reverse course around Flint, drops it back. Behrens. His shot deflects out of play. It will remain with Toronto. Hellier makes a nice catch of a high pass. Up top for Doyle. Now LeBlanc. Noble, one-on-one matchup. LeBlanc gets a pick. Flips it behind his back right on the doorstep. Sanderson denied by Higgins.
Well, we were wondering if Higgins was going to come to play, and I tell you right now, 12 shots on him. He is just stopping everything. Way to go.
Boy, Noble sends it right to the Toronto player, and in transition comes Patrick Merrill. He'll pull back now. LeBlanc picked up defensively very quickly. Little tuck there as Johnston didn't pull the trigger. Oh, a big hit there delivered by Gilbert.
Another penalty coming.
Shot taken by Dachenko. Save Higgins. Extra attacker on for Toronto. Hellier for Doyle. Behind the back, right out front. Oh, Higgins, a beautiful save and traps the rebound. Will get the Minnesota power player the penalty call. Some pushing and shoving after the whistle.
There seemed to be a lot of activity in front of there, and you already know this. The moment there's a little bit too much activity on the goaltender or inside the goalie's crease, teams are going to get a little anxious. Right now, Minnesota is playing very aggressive, Joe. They're being very physical on defense. They just can't get the penalties they're getting. Right now, they've been doing a great job of controlling themselves when they've been in a penalty situation, but just too many. A lot of late hits or off-ball hits that are not really going to get them any benefit.
So Gilbert was going to go anyway. Casey Behrens goes into the box for Toronto. And if Minnesota comes out of this
pretty good,
even strength,
good news. We're happy. A little bit of a late shot in front, right in front of Higgins.
So it will remain 5-on-5 on the offsetting Miners. Shot skipped wide and comes out of play. Possession to Minnesota. Sorensen ahead, behind the back. Oh, and Miller stayed with it. Crawford racing free. Not a good angle to shoot. Almost skipped one home. Hellier gives it up. This is Ethan O'Connor, the rookie from Toronto, who's had a solid rookie campaign as well. Doyle into the corner. LeBlanc works his way right out front, and he scores. Short side inside the post. LeBlanc, his second of the night, gives the Rock a 2-1 lead.
A lot of activity going on in front, still continuing on. Lots of banging and shoving here. The referees are going to have to step in. There's about 8 or 9 guys now having a friendly conversation. Maybe the best way to put it. Referees step in there and they all go back to their benches.
44th of the season for LeBlanc.
Just before that goal, Joe, I was about to say that it has been very tough for Toronto to get inside on the Swarm. And there they did it. When they're able to do so, they're going to score. But Minnesota has been keeping them outside, making it very difficult for Toronto to get inside and score.
McIntosh the face-off win. He's won all but one this evening.
We're under a minute, Joe.
It's been an entertaining opening 15 minutes.
I agree. Lots of shots, great defense, very physical game. These teams are both playing hard.
Schuss looking for a pick, gets it. Little pick and roll to Jackson. Jackson comes in. Miller makes the save.
Jackson is taking a beating today. He got it hit earlier along the boards behind the goal crease. Now he just got dropped inside. The end result is penalties. I think that's the second one that he's been the the person acquiring it for the Swarm. So
O'Connor goes to the box for Toronto, so Minnesota goes on the power play, trailing 2-1. Neither team's had a full power play with which to work yet tonight. Schuss up top. Plays catch with Crawford. Schuss fires Miller the save.
Crawford's got that ball back. We got 10 seconds here. Clock is stopped for some reason. Oh, there it is. Gone back on.
McIntosh rips one right on. Miller the save. Loose ball kicked out toward the attack line. Comes to the near wall, and that will take us to the end of quarter number 1. 15 minutes in the books. It's the Toronto Rock 2, the Minnesota Swarm 1. We'll be back with second quarter action after these messages.
The Philadelphia Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com.
A lot of fans here today. They came out and they're already seeing a pretty good game. You're clearly seeing a team from Toronto who wants to win this game and a team from Minnesota who doesn't want to let them win. They're playing terrific.
Minnesota on the power play, still have a minute left. Up top for Crawford. In the shooter's position, Schuss crosses with Jackson. Right out front, Monetize scores! Power play goal ties us at 2.
That power play group that we had out there with McIntosh, Crawford, Matisse, Schuss, Jackson. Boy, I'll tell you, hard to watch them all, and they all play their roles very well. Matisse did a great job of cutting in front of the net, getting a great opportunity and scores to tie the game up at 2-2.
22nd of the year for Matisse, his 5th on the power play. Just 40 seconds into the second quarter. And Minnesota comes free with it, had it, and it's Schuss able to play it off the wall. Crawford sends it along. This is Scott Jones bringing it to the middle. Overhand shot. Miller almost got handcuffed by that and is able to scramble out and play the ball behind the net. Delayed call again upcoming on Minnesota. Boy, didn't see what is drawing this one, but we've had a parade to the penalty box.
As we mentioned before, it's been fine so far. They've controlled it very well, but they've got to stop taking these penalties. No advantage to them in doing so.
Boy, Doyle faked through kind of a changeup. Higgins stayed with it, however, made the save. Now Sanderson able to shovel it back to Doyle. Sanderson through the middle. It comes free. Behrens for Hellier and up top for Doyle. Now LeBlanc whips it into the corner. Hellier off the wall. Across, LeBlanc comes right in. Higgins the save. Toronto with yet another fresh 30 with which to shoot. Doyle dumps it down low. Comes free. Behrens near side and just unable to pull the trigger. That time was LeBlanc. Sends it up high for Doyle. Over the top. Higgins the save. Still the loose ball. And LeBlanc back for Sanderson. Sends it across. Then that time Sorensen makes a beautiful save as Higgins was diving from side to side.
I think the blood just about ran out of the arm of referee Todd LeBron as he was trying to hold it up there for about 2 minutes. Great play by Higgins. He has been doing outstanding as he's been going through it. Visit swarmrewards.com to start earning points and prizes for just being social. Link your Facebook and Twitter accounts today to start earning rewards at swarmrewards.com.
So Crawford goes to the box for Minnesota. Brett, I didn't pick up what the indication was, but another power play opportunity for Toronto. And boy, it's you mentioned Todd LeBranch. He is the head official tonight and calling it tight.
Yep, they're not going to let it. I don't think they want to get this game out of hand. And I know, listen, if Toronto's playoff bound, they don't want to see themselves in a situation where players are suspended anyways. So they're going to play tough, but they're going to play clean.
Boy, Doyle fires one. Higgins stepped out to make the save. Gilbert sends it ahead just over the top of Sorensen. That's kind of hard to do. Big Brock just couldn't come down with that one.
I always like watching Sorensen. I like watching these guys take that run down the field. And Sorensen does a good job. Tyler Haas does it very well. I just want to see him get it and score.
Toronto doing a great job back in that four-man box down low. Minnesota keeping it to the outside, and LeBlanc completes the hat trick as he goes low on Higgins for a power play goal. And once again, Toronto with the lead, 3-2.
Well, I think when you've got a man-up situation, as many times they've had, and you're trying to figure out who am I going to leave open, and you can tell that the Swarm have sort of decided that that's going to be the last guy they're going to slide to is LeBlanc, but they may have to change their mind. He's a scoring machine today.
45th of the season for LeBlanc. Now it's picked up. Here's Ethan O'Connor coming in. He scores.
Well, it's got a little quiet in here right now when a quick goal within about 4 seconds of the previous Toronto Rock goal. 4-2 now for Toronto.
2 goals just 7 seconds apart for the Rock. As O'Connor becomes the first Rock player not named Stefan LeBlanc to score this evening. 5th of the season for O'Connor.
Well, we had a man-up situation here that didn't really amount to very much.
Quick opportunity off the draw for Minnesota, denied by Miller. I mentioned this is just the 5th game in a Toronto uniform this season for Brandon Miller. He comes in, save percentage 81%. That is elite in this league.
Miller's been very good in the NLL in the past, and again, we talked about earlier, when you're getting ready to go into the playoffs, nothing like having a guy like that who's coming in hot when you already have a great goaltender in Nick Rose. Shot clock violation, Swarm ball.
Jordan McIntosh will bring it across the timeline for the Swarm. Ahead for Monetize. Again, Minnesota unable to receive the pass cleanly. On the run comes Sandy Chapman. Chapman right down the middle, weaves his way in. David Earl bumped him down from behind, and Higgins, the goalkeeper, ahead for Crawford.
I think we got a little lucky there, Joe. That's great. But
Crawford fires, and Miller another save. Now Gamble the other way for Toronto. As game turning into a little bit of a track meet.
yeah, in this last 5 minutes, I got to tell you, I don't think Minnesota can take any pride in ball control. They've been certainly taking quick shots and then turning it over to Toronto to control the game.
Hellier a shot, Higgins the save. Hellier just taps it free, spinning with a Dichenko. Matisse lost a stick. Ball comes bouncing free. LeBlanc handles it. Working his way right in. Oh, Higgins got a foot on that to take one away from Hellier. Fresh 30 for Toronto. Matisse able to grab his stick. Doyle gives it up for LeBlanc. Spins away from Noble, picked up by Sorensen. Then gives it up to Sanderson. Sanderson spinning with 5 on the shot clock. Finds LeBlanc, and goalie's best friend comes in handy there. Oh, Doyle gets crushed in the double team. Now coming right out front. Oh, great save, Higgins. Suter rips one off the post. And then a crease violation.
Going back to the Swarm.
Oh, it's going to go back to Minnesota, and perhaps you can fill us in on that call, Brad.
Well, you know, I think that he was pushed into the, yeah. We'll talk about it maybe when we get back in after this timeout.
4-2 Toronto. We'll be back with more second quarter action after these messages.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Minnesota in possession of the ball, and Brad, what gave them possession of the ball? It looked like it was a crease violation.
Yeah, you know, I thought it was a crease violation too, but clearly what the officials saw on that was a push from behind against the Swarm, causing us to get a man-up situation. Certainly something we could afford right now.
Crawford drove but couldn't finish. Now right on the doorstep, another opportunity from the assistant captain Miller, yet another save.
Actually, I think, Joe, what we would have got here is it looked like there was a penalty being called, and I think they've changed their mind because we were playing full strength.
Flint almost pushes Gamble over the timeline, but he delivers the pass to Doyle, gets it down low. Behrens sends it up top. Now LeBlanc already with a hat trick in this one. Drives, comes right in, and Higgins goes low to make the save. McIntosh ahead for Suter.
Well, Higgins wants those shots all the time. LeBlanc has been scoring well today, but that's not the kind of scoring he's been able to do anything with. Those shots are not going to help him.
Shane Jackson spins, comes into the slot, loads, fires, bounces one in. Miller the save. And the loose ball picked up by Scott Johnston. In transition, 2-on-1 Rock. Johnston comes right in, tries to bounce one home. Higgins the save, loose ball in the crease, controlled by Higgins.
There's been quite a few shots in this game so far, Joe, but take a look at how well both of these goaltenders do at controlling the rebounds so that ball's not leaving the crease.
28-19. The shot count coming right through. That time was
Crawford.
Scott Jones. Yeah, I mentioned that Miller at 81% in his short time with Toronto, considered elite. Both goaltenders above 80%. Miller at 90% thus far in this game.
Yeah, so he's holding on, you know.
Krepensek, a nice loose ball pickup, shovels it for Sorensen. Minnesota across the timeline ahead for Crawford. Crawford going to go one-on-one. Steps back over the top, and boy, Miller comes out perhaps more than any goaltender I've seen this season.
Yeah, when I was talking to the coaches earlier, Joe, they were saying that it's very interesting how he plays. He's so big, but he really comes out, and he doesn't allow a lot of second shots from that position. If he did, it'd be a little dangerous for them, but they've got to get him behind or on the sides. That's where he's open. They just can't do it. He falls back very quickly after he steps out and makes the save.
Monetize over the top, kicked aside by Miller, loose ball. Going to be picked up by Crawford, and he skips a shot wide. Comes all the way back to Logan Schuss, still with 25 on the shot clock. Schuss lets it go, and again Miller jumps out, makes the save. Over the timeline, Bill Greer for Toronto. Skips the pass along. Dumped off. Hellier sends it up top. Near side, it's LeBlanc. Across for Hellier. LeBlanc loads, fires, and looked like the butt end of the stick got onto that ball from Higgins. Toronto's had a lot of second chance opportunities here tonight. Sanderson sends it across. In traffic, the shot from Behrens steered aside by Higgins, and again Toronto able to gather in the rebound.
You know, the farther those shots are coming initially, the greater the rebound opportunities are, and Toronto is picking up a lot of those rebounds that are coming off of Higgins.
Sanderson runs it up top, drops it down. LeBlanc has Earl on him. Tries to swim past Earl. Earl does a nice job to force him behind the net. Sanderson and Higgins comes out to make the save. Behrens pushes it toward the timeline. Hellier will control it there. This is the fourth opportunity on this trip down the floor for Toronto. Colin Doyle spins free and then sends it over the top. Finally, Minnesota will gain possession. And we'll see what their offense can do on the other side of these messages. 4:45 to play in the second. Rock 4, Swarm 2. We'll be back after this.
Come on, boys, let's go get him, man.
The Philadelphia Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com.
Social.
Welcome back inside the Hive. Callum Crawford bounces it into the offensive zone. Logan Schuss back for Crawford on the near side. Monetize forced out high. Still in possession. Monetize just powers toward the front of the net. Tries to send one toward the far post. Miller got a piece of it to send it wide. Loose ball picked up by Minnesota. Schuss out front and over the top of Jackson with the pass. Gillum couldn't handle it. Here comes Toronto in transition. Edwards to the left. Oh, Higgins, great arm save. Edwards, the loose ball, though, for Toronto. Up top, Hellier sends it to the far side. Behrens. Now for Sanderson. Hellier on Noble. Noble picks him up, drives him back. Hellier still in possession. Got the pick, sends it up for LeBlanc. LeBlanc has it chopped free in the loose ball. It comes right to Jeff Gilbert. Gilbert, the home run pass. Jackson able to catch up to it in the corner. Up top for Gilbert. Minnesota will slow things down, let the offense on.
Well, it was good for us to get that ball back. We've had some struggles. They've been getting so many rebounds. You can see right now about 10 goals or 10 shots more, Joe, for Toronto than Minnesota in this game so far.
McIntosh with a rip, but right on goal. Miller another save and another nice control of the rebound. Across the timeline and on the run comes Johnson. Right out front, Higgins, another arm save. Tell you, Higgins coming in against Toronto this year at a save percentage of less than 70%. He's been phenomenal tonight. Now LeBlanc on the drive. Puts it out front. Behind the back, it skipped just wide. Boy, nifty shot that time for Dichenko. Now Krepensek for Minnesota in transition. Crawford back for Krepensek. Tried to go low. Ends up on the back of the Toronto goal. Jesse Gamble for Toronto, looking for options. Finally skips it along. He'll get off the turf. On the run is Behrens. Dichenko knocked free. Minnesota, it's Brock Sorensen leading the charge. Odd man rush for Minnesota. Sorensen all alone. Comes in. Suter jumps, and oh my gosh, Miller jumped with him and made a beautiful save.
You know, it's just like this big, giant tent went right up in front of the goal when Suter went to shoot the shot.
34-26, the shot advantage for Toronto. 60 shots already in the half. Boy, coming across the slot that time was Hellier, but had it knocked free. 60 shots, only 6 goals in the half. We've seen a lot of defensive quarters and now halves here inside the Hive this season.
That's right, and we've been talking a lot about how Miller's playing, but we can't take anything away from Zach Higgins. He has been sensational so far.
Crawford into the slot. Fires it wide. He's going to have to hustle to keep it on the offensive side. He does so. And then just puts it into the corner as the shot clock was expiring. Under a minute to play in the opening half. 4-2 Toronto. They've actually won both quarters here, 2-1 thus far. LeBlanc on the run, tries to swim past Krepinski. Got the shot off and hugging the post. Higgins another save.
Well, Minnesota will have a chance here to score before the quarter ends.
McIntosh picks up the loose ball after it was knocked free from Suter. McIntosh, who has 5 goals against Toronto this year, has been quiet tonight. Jackson a shot, Miller a save, and the rebound bounces around. And Toronto gets it. They call a timeout with 7.7 seconds left. They can play for the last shot. Pull Brandon Miller to get the extra attacker out there.
Well, we've been taking shots, but I got this feeling, Joe, that if we're going to do a little bit better here, Miller and Higgins are playing very well. And the big difference right now is Toronto's getting a lot of these second shots that are a little easier for them to get in and score on them. That's what they did, plus that fast break opportunity. We've got to do a little bit more work here if we're going to score in the second half.
Fans, if you're looking for one-of-a-kind auction items, check out auctions.mnswarm.com today to bid on exclusive team-issued items, experiences, and more. Again, that is auctions.mnswarm.com. Now, lacrosse, not exactly like basketball in which you could isolate a player for a shot, but I'm thinking if you're Toronto, you're going to want to try to get this to LeBlanc. He's got 3 goals already in the half.
And he's out there. He's sitting on that right-hand side. It'll be a question one of the things they'll do sometimes is run him off the screen if they've got enough time, but it looks like they may not, so they're going to just try to do something. There's a screening opportunity. It isn't to LeBlanc.
And it was Hellier with the final shot. Higgins with the final save of the half. Teams will go to the locker room. Toronto in the lead, 4-2 as you watch Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
This is NLL Halftime. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Walls. With the regular season winding up this week in Week 18, let's take a look at the standings and see where your favorite team is ending up. First in the NLL Eastern Division, Rochester claims first place with a record of 13-4, and they face the Buffalo Bandits later on tonight. The Bandits, meanwhile, are in the middle of an epic skid, and if they don't defeat Rochester tonight, they could leave themselves open to dropping to third place, as they're currently sitting at a tie with Toronto. Toronto, meanwhile, sits in that third place spot, and with a win tonight against Minnesota and Buffalo losing, Toronto could secure themselves a home playoff position. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the division, Philadelphia and Minnesota are both playing for pride. Philadelphia will wonder what could have been as they face Colorado tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. Minnesota, meanwhile, will look to rebound with another young squad next season as they battle the Toronto Rock at home at the Xcel Energy Center. Meanwhile, moving out to the NLL Western Division, Edmonton ran away with the division this year with their 16-2 record, winning last night over the Vancouver Stealth 10-5. They have the home field advantage throughout the NLL playoffs. Meanwhile, Calgary is comfortably sitting in second place with an 11-6 record, just 4.5 games back of Edmonton. They face Vancouver tonight out at the Langley Events Center. Colorado, meanwhile, has finally secured that third place position in the NLL Western Division. They will look, however, to defeat a wing squad that defeated them just a few weeks ago on their own home floor, 14-12. Finally, Vancouver caps off a disappointing season tonight at the Langley Events Center, losing first on Friday night to Edmonton 10-5, hosting the Calgary Roughnecks tonight. Vancouver will want to give their fans the first year in Vancouver a reason to come back for 2015. That does it for NLL Halftime. Thanks for watching. We'll get you back to your game in just a moment. This is the National Lacrosse League.
Quick stick, they score! A beauty. Crawford sends it across the finish from Joshua.
certainly they like this home crowd.
Good crowd tonight at the ACC. They're rocking. Oh, and being pushed aside. Priolo absolutely manhandling Kevin Ross. He gets to it. Greer. Davis has the lane, walks in. Wade shoots, scores! Jared Davis on his off wing. Now here's the shot, they score! And it's Dixon with his 7th goal of the night, right through Bold. And the Roughnecks win 14-13. Ryan Bennett trying for a swim above the zone, gets by Edwards, and hugging that post, not tight enough though. Big Rose slid over. I don't know where the ball found any room.
Shane Jackson tried a little give and go. Schuss works free from one, fires and scores! Logan Schuss. Iannucci gives it up. Westervelt with a clean shot, goes right to the goal and scores. Drew Westervelt cuts the lead in half. It's 4-3 Mini.
The top, well over the net. Rebound, Greer. Missed the net, shooting. What a save! Chiliano from his rear end. Strong turn at night.
To the corner. Pollock in possession. Right up front, Grant behind the back, he scores!
Up top, Benesh. Flip pass to Varens in front to Williams. He shoots and scores. The sneaky shot by Sean Williams feeds Matt Vince over his left shoulder. It's 4-2.
Come on, boys.
The Philadelphia Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com. The Philadelphia Wings rock the Wells.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
As we are underway, quarter number 3, Minnesota the face-off win. McIntosh has been good on the dot tonight for the Swarm, though they trail 4-2. Joe Moore along with Brad Skiback along with you. Happy to have you along here one final time in the 2014 season.
About to see a very explosive third quarter, Joe. I think we're going to see some scoring going on now. Guys are all warmed up and ready to go. Let's see what they can do as the Toronto pick up a real long rebound here.
Over and back would have been the call. Toronto in transition. Great save from Higgins, but Minnesota's going to be called for having too many men on the turf as Cam Flint came out the back door before an offensive player was off the floor trying to cut off that transition.
We used to see a lot more of those back in the days when the NLL had a technical official, Joe, whose only focus was to look at those too many men situations. So the very fact that you saw some great work here by these officials to pick that up, of Minnesota coming in a little early. And clearly they were a little early. Now they're down again.
Fourth power play opportunity for Toronto. It's LeBlanc on the move, and Gilbert knocked the shot wide. Suter trying to come up with it, kicked it into the crease. Gilbert, and finally Higgins picks it up for Minnesota, the outlet to Suter. Suter across the timeline, looking for somebody to give the ball up to, and it's Logan Schuss skips it along. Josh Gillum also very quiet. Cuts it across and trying to, little dunk shot was Crawford. Crawford with 5 shorthanded goals on the season.
Those are the goals that we talked about earlier. I was telling you Coach Kane said are going to click for Minnesota. That quick shot where Miller pulls himself out and leaves that space open behind him. In that case, he got back quick enough, but great try by Crawford.
A little weave offense here from Toronto. Finally, it's Sanderson ripping one right on goal and then picks up his own rebound. Sanderson over the top. He scores. He tucks it just inside the far post. Power play goal gives Toronto a 5-2 lead.
I can tell you, Higgins is really frustrated with himself. Look, he made a great save. And these guys make great saves all the time, but he wanted that ball to go down and control it. Instead, that rebound went out way too far. Toronto controlled it, got it back to Sanderson. Sanderson put it in for the goal to go up 5-2 now for Toronto.
22nd goal of the season for Josh Sanderson is his 5th power play goal, and Ethan O'Connor picks up the loose ball off the faceoff for Toronto. Nice faceoff win from Patrick Merrill. Minnesota really extending the defense. Hellier gets it across. On the run. Hellier right out front. He scores over the shoulder of Higgins.
Well, you mentioned it, Joe, that Minnesota really pulled out and were playing very aggressive defense. And you saw what Toronto did. Toronto just waited. They got them to come back up, and you'll see they got themselves open right behind. There was nobody between Hillier and Zach Higgins. And Hillier's a scoring machine the last few games. He's going to take that opportunity.
29th of the season for Hellier, and Toronto with 2 goals just 7 seconds apart in the second quarter, strike twice in 23 seconds here in the third.
Well, it's been those lapses today. We're going to talk about this probably at the end of the game in a matter of about 40, 45 seconds. 4 goals scored for Toronto. Big difference right now.
This is Hellier with it. LeBlanc a shot. Higgins stands his ground, and McIntosh with the rebound and numbers in transition. Jordan McIntosh tried to drop it back and sent it behind Callum Crawford.
Well, we just talked about that. Those passes in a regular game, that's never going to get missed. And that's exactly what Crawford wants, is that quick opportunity to score while Miller's moving.
Hellier sends it across. Down low. Beeren scores. Cleared just enough room from Sorensen and bounces one in. And boy, Toronto has come out firing on all cylinders here in the second half.
Well, shows you what I know. I mean, I certainly expected to see this coming from Minnesota in this second half. To come back out with a lot of pride and saying we're not going to let this happen, but Toronto has just exploded. They are coming out very aggressively. Anything that's open for them, they're going right to the net.
27th goal of the season for Casey Behrens. And a violation on the faceoff will give possession to Minnesota. 3 goals in the opening 3:02 of this quarter.
And all of them for Toronto.
Already 7 shots in the quarter for Toronto. Loose ball pickup by Jackson. Getting hammered along the wall by Chapman, or Gamble rather. McIntosh tried to flip it down the low for Jackson again, fails to connect. And early here in the third, it looks like Minnesota perhaps passing up on the shooting opportunities, making the 1 extra pass.
You know, but I got to give credit to a couple guys that are playing hard so far. Jackson, we talked about earlier, and Kyle Matisse, same thing. He has been going hard to the net, trying to get those opportunities to score.
LeBlanc forced back by Suter, tries again, comes right up front and sends it over the top of the crossbar, but was called for being in the crease, so possession Minnesota. Gilbert across the timeline, sends it down low, right out front, Guillemot, and he had Miller moving, tried to bring it back short side, but sent it wide. Gilbert, the loose ball for Minnesota.
Miller was putting his hand up for a crease violation. In the meantime, this wide open net opportunity, which is fanned on the side.
Gillum up top for Jones. McIntosh, or Crawford rather. Crawford has his stick knocked loose. Now finally picked up by Toronto. Chapman will pull it back. Johnston gives it up. On the run is Behrens. Bounces it up top. Johnston back for Behrens. And now Hellier. Strong defense that time from Downing, but Hellier maintains possession, sends it across. Down low behind the back shot. Higgins the save, and the rebound spins back to him. .43-30 shot advantage for Toronto. We haven't seen too many teams outshoot the Swarm. They're up tempo. They usually are outshooting the opponents. Not tonight.
No, you're right, Joe. It's a very different game today. You know, maybe not seeing the same scoring potential. I said they start off so well defensively, and they're playing great. But Toronto has just picked it up. Just picked it up since the second half.
Edwards lays it back. This is Rob Marshall, the defender. Gives it up. Dachenko sends it across. On the run, Doyle fires it over the top, and the loose ball scooped up. Tyler Haas on the run. Sends it further ahead. Flint a bounce shot. Miller the save. Doyle able to get the rebound away. Marshall sends it ahead, and over the timeline comes Cam Woods. Gilbert all over him. Woods gives it up. Marshall tried to knock it free. Here comes Suter. Suter going to bring it on all alone. Suter drives, and Miller steps out to knock that one away.
Well, you know, Krippensack took that in, Joe, and it was interesting to watch. He went in right away, couldn't get Miller to move. Miller just sat there.
Now Behrens, and Higgins, a big save on Casey Behrens, who was all alone. Back and forth action now midway through the third. Earl, a nice move around one. And then finally slows it down, hands it off to Crawford.
You can tell this game is really moving very well. You know, we're about a minute and a half into our timeout zone. But these guys are just attacking. They're not putting the ball back down and keeping it moving. As long as they do that, we're not going to start playing the fastest game on 2 feet.
McIntosh sends it across. Loose ball fought for, still free, and finally pulled off the wall. Jesse Gamble across the timeline. Crawford in pursuit of him. Now it's Chapman. Chapman with some room. Drops it off. Quick shot. Higgins steps out to save LeBlanc. And finally, we get a call on the floor with the break. On the turf, we'll take it as well. Rock lead this one 7-2, 7:51 to play in the third as you watch Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Welcome back inside the Hive. Minnesota in possession, but trailing 7-2. Toronto on a 3-0 run to begin the second half.
I was just enjoying the break, one of my favorite breaks in an NLL game, but Toronto players showing a lot of class during it. Really good. I got to commend them. Way to go, guys. You made the fans happy tonight.
Schuss rips it wide. The loose ball picked up. Johnston brings it across the timeline. Hillier on the run. Looking for some help as he's double teamed. Finally finds Colin Doyle on the far side. Doyle tries to spin into Gilbert. Lays it back off to Chenko for Hillier. Up top, Sanderson. Frees up some room. Then gets the shot off. Higgins, put it up into the air. Very dangerous. But scooped out of there, and on the run comes David Earl for Minnesota.
Well, it was a kind of a bad rebound, but both Minnesota players were standing beside Higgins. Were able to take that ball away and bring it down.
Freeing up some space. Shoveled out front, and again, Minnesota can't receive it. And then coming from behind, Gillum sends it off the post. O'Connor's pass tipped free by Noble, picked up by Suter. Andrew Suter, spin move past O'Connor. Crawford up top for Schuss. He had some difficulty hauling that one in, sends it behind the back. Jackson out front, and Suter couldn't pull it in. It's Bill Greer the other way for Toronto.
Toronto seems pretty content right now, Joe, to move the ball around for the first 20 seconds of the 30-second shot. Minnesota steals the ball.
Gilbert, pass Sanderson, 3-on-1 Minnesota, and the pass for Haas. Couldn't bring it in. Too hot to handle off the wall. It's played by Flint. And then Minnesota will get the offense reset.
That was a great pass to Haas. It really was the thing that we've been looking for this whole game on that transition. That's where we had a chance to score.
Josh Gillum sends it across. Crawford looking for options. Shot clock violation on Minnesota will give possession to Toronto. Across the timeline, and now sprinting ahead is Jesse Gamble. Peels off toward the corner, helped that way by Noble. Moving screen call on Toronto gives possession to Minnesota. Logan Schuss. Tough defense on him most of the night. Breaks free. Schuss to the front. Miller another save and the rebound. bangs off the far wall. Minnesota, Gillum over the top. Miller steps out, makes a shoulder save on Gillum. And Edwards out of a double team with the loose ball. The only blue shirt on the offensive side of the floor.
Well, Minnesota's come alive in the last couple minutes, and they've taken some really good shots, but Miller's just put them all away.
34 saves, 36 shots. Not a bad night's work thus far. Trying to work his way in. Hellier forced wide. All alone out front. And LeBlanc is stopped by Higgins. Oh, big save, Zach Higgins.
It's good to see, but again, wide open right in front, Joe.
Now Shane Jackson. Cuts around. Chapman tries to dunk one home. Miller the save. Loose ball behind the back, and it's sent wide by Haas. Well, not only has Brandon Miller been good, but, the Minnesota, they've taken the traditional shots, getting a little creative here as well in the third quarter.
Yeah, the fans like to see those behind-the-back shots, those real quick shots as they're releasing them, and they're getting a lot of that action today. It's a good time to sort of show your individual skills in a game like this.
Dachenko from way out as the shot clock was expiring. Sends it wide and out of play. We'll take a break. 3:19 to play in the third. 7-2 Toronto. You're watching Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Come on, boys. Let's go get
Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com.
Joe Morbrat ski back inside the XL Energy Center, a.k.a. the Hive. Minnesota needs a spark to get back into this one. Trailing 7-2.
Yeah, they just finished setting parachutes down with all kinds of prizes for the fans. Now they're going to start scoring some goals.
Bill Greer, the loose ball pickup, gets it ahead. Patrick Merrill now gives it off. Hellier kind of all alone, coming right down the middle. Loads, fires. Higgins steps out, makes the save, and the outlet ahead for David Earl. David Earl out of Notre Dame. He'll drive toward the goal, sends it low. Miller the save. Ostrazer gives it up for Hellier. LeBlanc chased by Noble. LeBlanc through a double team. He's got some room. Lets it go. Higgins a save. Loose ball picked up by Sanderson. LeBlanc near side. Hellier loads up, sends it across. Doyle a shot, and Higgins sends that into the protective netting behind him.
Back to Toronto.
Right out front and unable to bring that one in was Behrens. Hellier getting pushed on by Flint. Loose ball brought toward the timeline. It's going to be Minnesota. Alex Krepensink gets it ahead, trying to load, driving now. Haas! And again, Miller stayed with it. Doyle the outlet ahead for Jesse Gamble. McIntosh chases Gamble in a circle. Finally, it's LeBlanc, again picked up by Noble. Goes down, loses the ball, but Gamble picks it up, finds Behrens on the near side. On the run, lets the shot go. Whoa, and off of Higgins. Again, Toronto, another opportunity. Sanderson gives it up for Hellier. 50-39, the shot advantage for Toronto.
They've been holding that 10-point or 10-shot advantage through most of this game today, Joe. They continue to do so through this third period of play with 1 minute remaining.
Hellier sends it up top. Back for Hellier, and off his stick, shot clock violation on Toronto.
Well, Joe, we got to see some 2-on-1 action, and we got to see some movement across the net. Otherwise, we're not going to score against Miller.
Boy, Crawford obviously going for the 2-for-1 possession advantage here late in the quarter. Really let a long-range bomb go.
That was an interesting shot.
LeBlanc, Suter there defensively. Pass across. Behrens goes up high to bring it in. Behrens drives in, shovels it back into the slot. Doyle tries to free up some space, but Suter was there to knock his stick free. Now Minnesota, 5 seconds left in the quarter, and finally a timeout has been given with 3.7. Boy, that's certainly not ideal. I think Minnesota tried to get that earlier.
I think we're probably going to see an adjustment. We'll be interested to see whether they adjust it up to, it looks like about 6 seconds might be more appropriate. Scoring opportunities, we'll see what happens. I think he called it. Now they got a decision. The two referees will sit together and talk and decide what to do.
Crew chief Todd LeBranch, his assistant Josh Hiltz getting together, and Josh Hiltz going to come to the scorer's table. And we'll see if we add on to the 3.7 that show on the clock right now. It is a timeout for Minnesota. One final opportunity in the third quarter, and if you're going to build some momentum, it would be a good way to do so. Score on the final shot here.
Yeah, you know, I think both of us looked at that shot that Crawford took with about 35 seconds left, and it was kind of a humor whether there's going to be a second shooting opportunity. But Miller is not biting on one-on-one shots, on direct hits. They need to move that ball across. They need to get some rebounds. They need to attack and charge that net in this last period.
We have added a second and a half, so 5.2 on the clock for Minnesota. Jones going to take it himself, winds up, skips it wide, and the third quarter horn sounds. At the end of 3 here inside the Hive, your score, Toronto 7, Minnesota 2. We'll be back with the fourth quarter after these messages. You're watching Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Welcome back. Quarter number 4 set to a face-off. Jordan McIntosh, Patrick Merrill do the honors again. McIntosh pulled it free and sends it into the Toronto bench.
Quite a draw. Well, it's all about pride. 15 minutes of it to show that Minnesota players are going to be coming back next year strong. You heard owner Andy Arletta talk earlier before the game today, Joe, saying that he wants to see these guys back. I know he wants to see a strong performance in the next 15 minutes also.
Colin Doyle sends it down low, and a bit of swarmism there as Sanderson couldn't receive the ball cleanly. Behrens tried to drop it off for Sanderson now.
Swarmism.
We'll just we'll have some fun here in the fourth.
That's right. Come on.
Suter, his shot. Oh, Miller went down, taking that one off the bean.
I might even start speaking Canadian for some of my Toronto fans. Both of you.
I heard you singing a little bit in French earlier tonight.
I was doing that. I had to do the anthem. Felt very proud to stand and listen. Then I said I got to listen to Skyview Elementary or middle school sing. Pretty exciting day, Joe.
Crease violation called on Toronto, gives possession to Minnesota. Perhaps the largest crowd of the evening. Hopefully we'll get an attendance figure for you here shortly, but doing the wave around the Hive.
They are, and they've been with us. They've been very, very loyal fans. 10 years now of the Swarm, and I got to tell you, these fans love Minnesota. They just want to see them win. Next year's going to be the year.
Crawford shot well wide, and the rebound controlled by Toronto. Patrick Merrill across the timeline with it.
I've done my draft for next year, and we've got Tavares, Doyle, Grant, all coming. What do you think?
Fantastic.
Maybe we'll pick up Miller, too, as the fourth.
Over the top, Higgins steps out, makes the save, but again, the loose ball picked up by Toronto. Another shot, they score. Nick Dechenko finds the back of the net. Toronto has an 8-2 lead. Second of the season for Dechenko in just his third game. This one comes at the 1:52 mark of the fourth quarter. Interestingly, you look at the stat sheet, the teams combined for 3 goals in the first 3:04 of the second quarter. Toronto scored 3 in the first 3:02 of the third quarter, and there was no more scoring in either quarter.
No, it's they score quickly, and now you see Toronto is happy to throw it around a little bit, making sure that they get an opportunity to score in the last 10 seconds, and they're really bunching up now on defense, not giving many easy shot opportunities for the Swarm as we move forward.
You see big Kyle Monetize, they call him Moose in these parts. Tried to drive in, called on the crease violation. O'Connor had it knocked free. Strong defense from Downing, again way out by the timeline. Doyle tries to skip one down low. Bounces free and picked up by Higgins. Long outlet ahead for Tyler Haas. 2-on-2. Haas loads. Over the top, he scores! Right. Tyler Haas breaks the Toronto run here in the second half. It's 8-3 Rock.
Well, we've got something to dance about. Look at those fans going. They are happy as can be. Tyler Haas, great bounce shot. Opportunity to score. 8-3 right now. We're on a roll. Here we go. You know, we got a bit of a slow time. I think, Joe, it'd be really nice for us to say something nice about these. We have a lot of interns for the Swarm who help us out all the time. Sam has been bringing us by all the stats. Enzo, another great guy, along with the full-time people that are working for the Swarm. But thank you all for what you've done for us throughout the season. We'll take some time to talk about you later, too.
I second that as Minnesota. Long shot, and Schuss finds the back of the net with a rocket from out top.
Here we go.
Second of the night for the rookie, 36th of the year, and it's 8-4 Toronto.
You know, Joe, they were down by 5 last time they played Toronto, I believe, and they were able to come back and tie the game. They're only down by 4. They got 12 minutes. This could be a big change.
Plenty of time.
We could be into overtime. I can feel it now.
Of course, for Toronto to host the playoff game next week against Buffalo, they need to win here. They need a Buffalo loss at home against Rochester tonight.
We have an injured player down right now for Toronto.
I will say that half of the equation is in the books. Buffalo has been defeated by Rochester tonight, so Toronto needs to hang on here, and we do see the injured Rock player there, and don't know if it's a cramp, don't know if it's a veteran, the Rock player saying, we got to slow this momentum down a little bit.
You know, it's amazing. They're pretty crafty guys, and you see Scott Johnston getting up. He's moving a little slow. Looks like he's got a leg and maybe cramp, but he's walking like he's got a cramp. Trainers got him under control. They'll take him off, get back into place so Minnesota can score some more goals in the next 12 minutes.
So the Swarm has struck twice in 20 seconds after only getting 2 goals in the first 47 and a half minutes.
I know the fans can't see it, Joe, but you and I are up here doing the wave.
Minnesota had possession off the face-off, but turned over behind the net. Greer into the offensive zone. Gives it off for LeBlanc. LeBlanc carried Toronto in the first half offensively, been quiet here in the second. Now Colin Doyle comes right out front. Higgins the save. Rebound. Oh, a juicy one right out front. Now controlled. Sanderson. Oh, and Higgins goes down to smother that one.
Good job by Higgins. We got to keep that ball under control. We can't afford to lose that ball.
Krepensek on the run. Oh, and fired it right into the defender in front of him. That's going to sting a little bit. Edwards' pass deflected free.
You can see that aggressive nature of lacrosse players, Joe. Scored a couple goals. They're really going hard now trying to get those opportunities. They're going to keep firing at Miller.
Loose ball finally. It's Andrew Suter, the captain. His shot, Miller the save. And Miller will control the rebound for Toronto.
You know, Suter showed something there that young lacrosse players could see. You don't always have to fire it hard. He just threw that down nice and easy, looking for that 5-hole. Just wasn't there this time.
Running through Downing stick that time. LeBlanc still in possession. Now Sanderson for LeBlanc. Bounces free. Sanderson in the slot. Higgins a big save. Doyle the rebound. He scores. No, they'll wave it off. Crease violation.
As Higgins goes and picks up his glove and his stick.
Oh, the other way. Jackson denied by Miller. And then, the huge hit behind the play. Ooh, that was ugly.
Yeah, it sure was. Not the kind of thing we want to see in a game like this. He's definitely going to go to the box, but a major hit. I think he's got 2 for boarding.
Ethan O'Connor to the box for Toronto.
You can see Shane Jackson getting up. I mentioned earlier, Joe, this is the 3rd big hit I've seen Jackson take today. Twice on the boards now.
Jackson will take a seat as the Minnesota power play unit comes onto the turf.
He's usually part of that power play. Let's see who replaces him as we get going here.
Only the third power play opportunity of the night for Minnesota. Jackson back on the turf as Gillum will go off. Crawford will quarterback things. Schuss and McIntosh in the shooter's positions. This is Jackson. Now Schuss. Crawford as they put the offense in motion behind. McIntosh turns, fires a shot deflected on the way through. Miller the save. Minnesota with the fresh 30 on the shot clock. It was a 5-minute major boarding call.
I believe in the NLL, boarding is an automatic 5, and so that's a good call.
Crawford's pass deflected, comes free, and Toronto gathers in the loose ball. So an opportunity, Minnesota can cut this lead in half or better on this major power play.
They do have to take care of this. They got 2 opportunities here to score with a man-up situation. Let's see what they do with it.
LeBlanc shorthanded, forced wide, whips it across. Little tuck and go, and then knocked away from Dichenko. He'll pick it up along the wall and then just whistle it wide as the shot clock goes off. And with that, we'll take it to break. 9:01 to play in the fourth. 8-4 Toronto as you watch Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Come on, boys, let's go get him, man.
The Philadelphia Wings rocked the Wells Fargo Center in 2014 with hard-hitting professional lacrosse action that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Can't come to every game? 5-game, 2-game plans are available and include a player meet and greet and other great benefits. Individual tickets start at just $10. Order by phone at 215-389-WING or online at wingslax.com.
.50 left on the power play. The major boarding call on Ethan O'Connor.
4 minutes to score. A couple of great goals here for Minnesota.
McIntosh down low, gets it back. Crawford a shot. Miller the save.
I think they feel that's where the spot's going to be because they've been going at that same location, hoping they can get the ball through there before Miller gets the stick down.
Cam Woods put it out front. Owen firing it over the top was Merrill. And Crawford will trot it across the timeline for Minnesota. Still 3:10 on the power play time. Jordan McIntosh, now Crawford. Schuss.
Oh, threw the ball away.
Right to Rob Marshall. Now a shorthanded 2-on-1 for Toronto. Edwards sends it across. Higgins flashes out the left arm to make a nice save, but Edwards will track down the loose ball. Opportunity for Toronto to kill another 30 seconds off this major power play. Sanderson had it knocked free. Suter trying to pull it out of there and finally does so for the Swarm. 3-on-2 Minnesota. Suter pulls it up in the slot behind the back for Suter right on the doorstep, and Miller hangs with them, makes another save, and Toronto has killed off the first 2 minutes and 50 seconds of this Minnesota power play.
You could just tell the fans are sitting here right now. They're feeling that anxiety. They need some goals scored here. We've got to do a couple. We have 2 minutes left to make this opportunity here on this boarding 5-minute penalty.
Behrens, nice job of maintaining possession there for Toronto. Now it goes to work on Krepensek. Pass across. Doyle couldn't pull it in as he was trying to fend Gilbert off. Gilbert ahead for McIntosh. 1:40 left on the power play. Now Schuss will quarterback. Playing catch with Crawford. Sends it across. Jackson couldn't bring it in. Loose ball. Gamble in the double team. Just throws it away right to Schuss. McIntosh across. Jackson rips it wide. McIntosh gets it back for Schuss. His shot. Miller the save. Loose ball picked up. Oh, and Greer is absolutely punished by the rookie Logan Schuss.
And it's going to be a back end, so it'll be ball back to the Swarm. You know, if you look what's happening here, they're not getting those second shot opportunities too, and we're a man up. We've got to shoot those, and we've got to get that ball back.
Jackson scores! Cutting through the slot, received the pass from Crawford. Power play goal, Minnesota makes it 8-5, Toronto.
It is great to see Jackson score. He's working so hard today. He's certainly been one of my favorite players on the floor. 8-5, still got 1 minute left, Joe, to score.
Second power play goal of the night for Minnesota. And for Shane Jackson, goal number 17 on the season. Minnesota in possession off the draw. Still 50 seconds left on the power play time. Jackson up top. Schuss behind the back. Jackson. Across, Crawford winds, fires. Miller the save. Didn't know where the rebound was. It sat right down in front of him, though. On the run is Merrill. Merrill coming in. Denied by Higgins.
We're going to have a penalty against us here on a hold, I'm going to suspect, on Schuss.
As the ball kicked free, picked up by Merrill. Merrill coming out front. Drops it off for LeBlanc. Long shot is the...
Tyler Haas, I believe, will be getting that penalty.
Shot clock was winding down. It is Tyler Haas going to the box for Minnesota. Just 4 seconds left on Ethan O'Connor's boarding call. Credit Toronto giving up just one power play goal on the 5-minute advantage.
Yeah, you saw Haas reach over, grab and pull down the defender on his way to the net. It's a 2-minute penalty. 5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter of play. Toronto leads 8-5. Man down situation for the Swarm.
O'Connor out of the box, sprints to the player bench. On comes Colin Doyle. Advantage Toronto. Doyle winds up and sends it wide. Rebounds to Hellier up top for Doyle. Into the corner now. Sanderson will cross with LeBlanc. Doyle for Hellier over the top, and Higgins steps out to make the leg save, and the rebound right to Jeff Gilbert. Quickly ahead for Sorensen, 1-on-3. He'll peel back and find Gilbert. Now Jordan McIntosh across for Schuss. Now Jackson. The cutter, Crawford with one hand, tries to dunk one home, and Miller stayed with him. Makes the save. And Toronto in possession. 52 seconds left on the Toronto power play. Colin Doyle up top. They get it around to Sanderson. LeBlanc now. Hellier. LeBlanc fires. Higgins the save, the rebound. Push to the far wall where Hellier sends it down for Behrens. Back for Hellier. LeBlanc behind the back for Doyle. His shot goes wide and rebounds out of play. It will be Minnesota ball when we come back from this timeout. 3:33 to play in the fourth. It's 8-5 Toronto as you watch Swarm Lacrosse on 45 TV.
Support the National Lacrosse League and show the world you're a fan with team merchandise from the National Lacrosse League official online store, shop.nll.com. You'll find a great selection of National Lacrosse League team items, including t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories, and more. You'll also find great customer service, 365-day hassle-free returns, and fast shipping. So show the world you support the National Lacrosse League with official gear from shop.nll.com.
Evans flip pass. Here's a shot. Dixon to the net. Scores! Curtis Dixon again. It's 11-10 Calgary.
Want more great NLL action? Subscribe to the Lacrosse Network on your computer, tablet, or mobile device for access to all the games, live on YouTube. Get highlight reels, interactive player interviews, and behind-the-scenes coverage on all your favorite teams. YouTube.com/TLN. Subscribe today.
Disappointed.
Apparently she's not nearly as hungry as you are right now.
No, I don't think so. She wants me to buy dinner, I suspect.
Haas back on the turf. Minnesota's goal sits empty. Shot goes wide. Shot clock violation. Now Higgins has to sprint back in goal. That's a long run for the goalie here in the fourth quarter. Marshall finds Behrens on the far side, marked up by Earl as the 33s face off. Now LeBlanc fails to field it, but he forced Downing wide. Downing couldn't come up with it. LeBlanc just puts it into the corner, and Minnesota will take possession. And again, Higgins going to go off for an extra attacker as Flint brings it across the timeline.
.220 remaining. Man-up situation for Minnesota here. They pulled their goaltender. Let's see what they can do with this ball.
Crawford. Now McIntosh over the top. Didn't make it through. Knocked down out front. Toronto with an empty net. Higgins gets back and dives, and it hits Higgins. Don't know if it was on goal or not, but brilliant effort there from Zach Higgins.
Did he look good? He just torpedoed himself right out there. Way to go, Higgins.
Gilbert just kind of pushes Chapman down the wall.
It's good because it gives Zach a chance to catch his breath.
Well, I think Patrick Merrill was on top of it. That's going to give possession to Minnesota. Once again, Higgins going to go to the bench for an extra attacker. He's been busy. He has faced 60 shots from Toronto. Now they're making him do all his running to boot, Brad.
60 shots in a single game. That is incredible. What a job today, Zach Higgins.
Little tuck and go. Jackson scores. Second of the night for Shane Jackson.
Not only
suddenly it's 8-6.
That's right, second night, and I believe second of this period, Joe. I'm not sure, but I think he did. Way to go. 8-6, 121 remaining. Power play opportunity there by pulling your goaltender. Jackson puts it away to bring the game within 2.
Jackson's got both of the last 2 goals now for Minnesota. We saw him with a natural hat trick in this building earlier this season. Toledo comeback that fell just short.
We've been ruling the face-offs. Let's see what we can do today. We've got about 65% of the face-offs today. See what happens on this scrum that's going on.
Picked out of there by Jesse Gamble. Now all alone is O'Connor, but didn't even look toward the goal.
Nope.
Time is on the side of Toronto, 2-goal lead. And less than a minute to play. 9,056 in attendance here tonight.
What a crowd. Awesome. As we've heard earlier today, not only that, but what an experience coming here and watching the Swarm play. Recommend all of you fans try to get out to Minnesota next season and see a live game here at the Hive.
And we get a timeout on the turf. That will allow me to tell you that this copyright telecast of the National Lacrosse League Incorporated may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the National Lacrosse League. 31 seconds left here inside the Hive. Toronto leading 8-6, looking like they will host a playoff game. They'll end up the number 2 seed in the East Division. And while we have the timeout on the turf, Brad, let me just say thank you for being a part of this broadcast team. It's been a wonderful season getting to know you, working with you, and I'm looking forward to another season of Swarm Lacrosse next year.
Feelings absolutely mutual, Joe. I've enjoyed myself so much. It's been great. You're professional, do a great job with what we do out here. You know, I know we both care about this game. We both care about Swarm Lacrosse. We both care about the National Lacrosse League. So it's nice to see that the game is ending strong. 9,000 fans showing up for a game today. Minnesota loves the Swarm. And thank you for everything you've done this season with us, Joe.
And thank you to all the fans out there as well that make the Hive the number 1 attraction in the NLL.
I like coming to the games, Joe.
Minnesota, 22 seconds, long bomb. Skips wide and high into the air comes the rebound. Push to the near side. Callum Crawford spins away from Greers. Tried to send it across. It's intercepted by Gamble. And Gamble just sends it the length of the turf. Time will run out. And the Toronto Rock defeat the Minnesota Swarm tonight by a score of 8-6.
Well, I'm pretty certain that Toronto has been checking his scoreboard and knew that this means a home field or home floor advantage for them in the playoffs. And they deserve it tonight. They played really well.
Your 3 stars of the game this evening here in St. Paul. The number 3 star Minnesota goaltender Zach Higgins. 52 saves tonight in the losing effort. The number 2 star Toronto forward Stefan LeBlanc, a hat trick, throw on an assist, a 4-point night for LeBlanc. And your number 1 star, Toronto goaltender Brandon Miller, 47 saves on 53 Swarm shots. Backstops the Toronto to the number 2 seed in the Eastern Division.
Well, I don't know who picks those 3 stars, but they did a great job. That's an excellent choice. All 3 of those guys did a great job today. If I had a 4th one, and I don't have a 4th one, but I'm going to tell you, since it's the last day of the season, I'm going to give my 4th one. I got to tell you, there was one guy that worked so hard out there today, and that's number 32, Shane Jackson. Shane, you played awesome. Hope your family's here to see you play.
For Brad Skiback, I'm Joe Moore. That will do it. We'll see you next season inside the Hive. Again, your final score, Toronto 8, Minnesota 6. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
And for those watching along on the Lacrosse Network on YouTube, back with some post-game reaction to this Toronto victory that brings them to an even 500 on the year. They finished the season 9-9. Minnesota dropping to 4-14 in what was a very frustrating season in and around the Hive. One final lap around the Hive from the Swarm players.
You know, one thing we should give credit to is the how this league has matured, Joe. You know, these 2 teams playing today, Minnesota playing, trying to keep Toronto from getting that home advantage. Toronto playing hard because they want to get it. And these guys came here and they did one thing. They came here to play lacrosse. There was nothing ugly, nothing stupid. 9,000 fans saw a terrific lacrosse game. 2 outstanding goaltenders in Zach Higgins and Brandon Miller. For Toronto, and some great scoring going on with a total of, if I'm looking at this correct, 113 shots in the game today.
Yeah, that is a big number, and you can go back many years, I think, of Swarm Lacrosse and not find a team that has fired 60 shots against them like Toronto did tonight. You know, Toronto, they end the season winning 4 in a row. They struggled, actually stumbled through the month of March. A perfect 4-0 in April. They certainly have some momentum heading into the playoffs.
You know, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the exact opposite situation, where we had teams like Buffalo where were dropping and they weren't scoring and they weren't winning near the end of the season. Toronto is coming in postseason form. That's what you want to see. 4 wins. They're starting to score near the end of it. They scored 8 goals, lots of shots, and certainly sensational goaltending.
Yeah, and, you know, it was Miller tonight. It was Rose last week. It was Rose the first part of the season. You can flip the coin. You're going to get a solid performance out of the Toronto goaltender no matter what direction they go, although I got to think Brandon Miller is probably the lead dog as they enter the playoffs.
I'm pretty sure they brought him in for that reason, is to make sure that he was there for them. But you know what we see so often? This is the type of game where, as we mentioned, they come out and they're strong. But if they're not, it's sure great to have a second goaltender on the bench who's that good that you can put in if somebody's struggling.
So they will take a 4-game winning streak into the playoffs. They will host the Buffalo Bandits next week. Buffalo will bring in an 8-game losing streak as they were defeated by Rochester tonight.
You know, and I've had a lot of opportunities to be at both Buffalo games and Toronto games. They're exciting. The fans are about to have an absolute great tilt. I mean, Toronto, the fans love and understand lacrosse like no place else, and the Buffalo fans are just absolutely excited. When you go out to see that game in Buffalo, wear a helmet. It's real excited.
That will do it from Inside the Hive for the 2014 season as the Swarm were eliminated from the playoffs a couple of weeks ago. For those of you watching on the Lacrosse Network, our thanks to you for staying with us throughout the season. For Brad Skiback, I am Joe Moore. We will see you Inside the Hive in 2015. Good luck, Rock, in the playoffs. And for those of you at Joe Badali's, have one for us, too.
We'd enjoy that.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.